Hello friends, welcome back for part 49 of our walkthrough of Oxygen Not Included Spaced Out. This time, probably going to be another longer video because we are going to capture the entire process of getting out to the gassy planet, gassy moo planet, whatever, and colonizing that and having a duplicant live there and then getting everybody back home. So this is going to be very similar to the slime one that we did recently, but yeah, we're just going to kind of cover everything that needs to happen there. One other thing that I wanted to talk about, in the last video I mentioned that we were going to start getting the temporal tear opener going. We're close to having it ready, just wanted to give a quick progress update on that. This is the setup I had to go with though. I'm having to run the Radbolts to bounce off of a reflector and kind of go down back into my base because these joint plates don't like being on top of these drywall tiles, which is really annoying. I don't know why that restriction is there, but yeah, these are really not my favorite buildings. They could be done a lot better. But yeah, so that's what's going to be happening here. We will be opening this, or rather at least generating the Radbolts for it. And we'll be firing this in just a couple more videos, which again is going to be quite the process because we need to protect ourselves from all of the danger that will be afoot from this. So yeah, that'll be the plan. In the meantime, we're just loading up the rocket like we typically would, so all of our stuff that we are supposed to be taking is just being shipped up to this area right here. Then my duplicants are going to load it into the rocket. Interior of the rocket should look really familiar by now. Pretty much the same as every other one we've done. We'll be taking 4 duplicants on this mission. Just need to hook up my power here really quickly. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Let me get the rocket all loaded up. We'll lift off and we'll head over there in just a bit. Okay, our Radbolt generator for... Hey, here we go. Radbolt generator for getting the temporal tear open is up and running now. I replaced all the back wall here because those watermelons were just horrendous to look at, so apologies for that. But at least it's a lot more readable now. Very similar to what's going on the main asteroid. Just have some Wheezeworts out here. I need to let some more oxygen in, by the way. But I have some Wheezeworts out here that are generating some radiation, being collected by these Radbolt generators, flying through the Radbolt reflectors, and eventually up into the temporal tear opener. The only thing I really don't like that much about this is that the flight path of the Radbolts is like right where my duplicants might be walking. So I should probably find a way to set this up a little bit better so that they're not at risk of getting hit by it. So I guess I could just put this smart battery down here and change how this is all hooked up a little bit, like really scraping for metal here. And then I could probably put a wall there and a wall here so that it's not really a routable path by my duplicant. So I might just do something like that, but at least this is up and running. This is going to take a while before it's actually filled up. So you want to still make sure that you're sending yourself more hydrogen and potentially more phosphorite, depending on how much you might have already sent there before. So that's on the way. Back at our main base here, just getting the rocket loaded up, and that will be ready to go here in just a little bit. We'll assign our crew and we'll get out of here. I won't be paying too much attention to who's actually going. It'll probably be some of the same people we've already sent before, but this should hopefully be fairly routine by now in terms of like taking duplicants out to go colonize some other asteroids. So yeah, just need to get it all loaded up, finish up all the shipping, and then we'll be on our way. Okay, it's time to get our duplicants off to the gassy moo asteroid. Let's double check all of our interior stuff to make sure we have what we need. We have water, which we're going to need when we land to make our liquid lock. We have a refrigerator full of berry sludge. We have a lot of algae. We have a bunch of rust and salt and stuff as backup. Our rooms look like they're good. Oh, happened again. Forgot to put my furniture down for a mess hall, so we definitely need to get that. We'll get that done really quickly. We'll send our duplicants off. My crew here just have, them assigned. So Ada is going to be our pilot. The other two are going to be Beta, Pepe, and Otto. None of them really need their skills to be scrubbed, which is always another good thing to do really quickly to make sure that they are going to be able to tolerate this without causing all kinds of problems because they'll be stressed out. So once we get this, we'll make sure it's a great hall. We have a washroom. Oh, it already is a great hall. I don't even need to plant something there. Huh. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Okay. I swear this was not always the case. I thought that the decor item had to be more than that, but whatever. Okay, let's go. Here they come. Last one's Pepe. We're just gonna get out of here and launch the rocket, which I always say we're gonna watch the rocket launch, and then I see the engines turn on, and then I immediately go away from it, so... Sorry, here's a full one for you. There you go. They're off to their destination. They're gonna be heading out to the gassy Moo planet, which we will, get on the surface, and I'll basically come back as soon as we get our rocket to that tile, and we'll be ready to colonize. Oh, also... make sure to get our duplicants out of their suits, which we also need to make sure that we do, because getting down on the surface with a full suit is probably important. Alright, there we go. Okay, we're here. Let's go ahead and do our typical landing pattern. So, first of all, gonna spray down our orbital cargo, which is all refined metal. Then just gonna send our robot down here to start doing some work in advance. Since the robot can't really dig through this very well, I'm just going to have it start to... Yeah, a bunch of things it can't dig out. I'm just going to have it start to unpack some of these things so that they're ready for my duplicant when they get down here. Which, again, hooray, I can't click on things. Boy, do I love that. Okay, I'll restart. Look at that, I can click on stuff. Wow, love it when I can click on stuff. That's the best. Alright, robot's just going to be unpacking all this stuff. Let's get our duplicant down here. Let's figure out which one we're going to send. So, inside the Moo rocket, who do we got? Let's see. Ada, no. Okay, Beta's looking pretty good. We'll send her. Alright, get your suit on. That one's fine, sure. Alright, send Beta down, which... Why are we not... Oh, because I restarted. I was like, why are we not centered? There we go. Just gonna land Beta on the planet. Should be about ready to start building the rocket platform. Let's make sure we can actually get down to where I want to put it, because I kind of want to put it like down here in this little chasm. The important thing to note on this planet is everything is extremely cold. So we will need to build our rocket platform and our water lock in such a way that it's not all going to get frozen. I don't really want to use the liquid chlorine that's here, because that for a lock is probably not a good idea. It'll probably just gas off, more than likely. Can you not get down here? Okay, yeah, you can. So now we can build our rocket platform. I'll just toss it right here, sure. Somewhere that's kind of down low and a little more central. I could potentially put it down in here, but I don't really want to wait for the duplicant to dig all that stuff out. So, yeah, just going to be doing all this stuff. In the meantime, I guess we can deconstruct those things, so keep our bot busy. Let's make sure that this is over-prioritized. Hey, why'd you walk away? Get down here and do your job. So yeah, pretty typical landing process. Like usual, I guess I'll just show this again. I know I've shown this a few times, but now that we have the platform coming up, just need to send the rocket there. They should land, and then all I'm going to do is delete the engine at the bottom. Just so that the platform is down on, like, the living space is down at the bottom, and my duplicants can freely enter and exit. So, gonna just wait for the steam to dissipate for a second. Keep working. Keep working. Alright, then we can deconstruct the steam engine. And now that we have it down this low, my duplicant should be able to freely enter and exit. So I'm just going to start building the water lock for this one. But we need to make sure to build it out of insulated igneous rock tiles to assure that it doesn't freeze, because this can be very cold. So just going to kind of get all this, and we also need to make sure to clear all the stuff out of here that could cause some problems. Our radiation level on this planet is very high. So we're going to need to get in there kind of soon and start getting our lead tiles up. So yeah, once we build our little lock area, just gonna get rid of this. And we want to... Let me think about this for a second. Yeah, we just want to clear out all the stuff that's going to be in the way so that that material doesn't also freeze the water. There's a lot of really cold material just sitting on the ground here, so we will definitely need to clear that out. So just going to use an auto sweeper here, or rather an automatic dispenser, sorry. I don't know the names of anything, like I've said. So once we get that down, we can just move all this stuff out of the way. This regolith, by the way, can be used in place of sand for all your filtration on this planet. So if you really want to hyper-optimize, you don't necessarily need to take any sand with you on this map, but I guess we might as well. Who's making a mess? What's going on? Oh, because I have this set to grounded. Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, Otto. The other thing we need to do is make sure that we are not sending out any of our polluted water from our sink, and instead sending out our fresh water so that we can start filling up our liquid lock. So, starting to sweep stuff, everything marked for sweep here, and I want to make sure that no other material is going to fall in. So, a wall up here is probably a good idea. There we go. I'm just going to get our liquid vent here, hook it up to the output on our rocket, and put a hydro sensor to make sure we don't use it unnecessarily. So there we go. That's pretty much the process for getting set up here initially. I'm, again, just going to go through the entire colonization of this planet in this one video. So we're just going to try to keep things a little short. So I'm just going to start building out like we typically would, get our suits up, get oxygen generating inside here. It's probably also going to be very cold for a little while, but that's usually fine. And any natural gas in here, I don't really care that much about, because it's not like we're going to have a hard time producing power or need a lot of power on this planet anyway. So if all the natural gas just gets sent out into space, I don't really care that much. If you really care about it, you could just kind of pump it into one small area to keep it for power, but I don't really care that much. So yeah, anyway, let's advance forward after getting the inside established. Okay, here we are midway through emptying out the base and just getting ready to start building our stuff. But for the time being, all I'm doing is just generating some oxygen inside here. It's obviously very cold, so I'm still doing the trick that we did on the ice asteroid and several times before, which is just to dig everything out with ladders so that all the debris falls to the bottom, so that all that very cold and heavy debris can be out of the way when we actually seal this off and take the base. The other thing you'll need to do is when you're mining out the top of this, obviously you'll want to space it, oh no, I almost said it. Obviously you will want to do it in smaller blocks, so that you are not exposing your duplicants to too much radiation. So come out here every once in a while to dig stuff out and then retreat back underneath the big lead wall. But once you get all this stuff mined out from the top, you will also need to sweep that and put it out of the way, just so that this really cold and heavy material is not sitting on top of these tiles and making everything else in the base cold. This may be a little bit more involved to heat up than the ice asteroid was, but I don't think it's really all that bad. The only thing that is really going to be a concern in terms of heat is going to be the ability to grow food, but we are not going to be growing food on this planet anyway. We'll be doing some Drecko taming once again, which we didn't bring eggs, which is partially just me forgetting to bring eggs, but we can also just ship ourselves some using the launcher. So we could do that, and that will definitely take care of our food needs. We will also need a couple of other things here because we don't have an oxygen source on this planet. So we're going to need to send ourselves probably some water from our launcher as well, which we'll build out here in just a little bit. I'm probably going to play around with some automation signals so that we can send them across space and basically ask for things from certain launchers at times when they're needed. So we'll play around with that in a little bit, but for right now, still the focus, just hollowing stuff out, getting ready to start building all of our typical base systems after we set up a wall. We'll do that here as soon as it's all mined out. Alright, this paused frame here is a gassy moo impacting the planet. These will come down from space every once in a while. There's another one for you. This, just like a lot of things in the game, we're not really going to interact with that much. You can get a setup going for these that starts generating brackine, but I just can't really find that much of a purpose for it. So this seems like another one of those instances where this is something just for funsies to do if you wanted to do that. I'm not really going to cover it that much because it's not really essential for like survival, and it's kind of suboptimal in terms of like how much duplicant time you would spend on that. So yeah, we're not going to be paying too much attention to these, but they will drop food every once in a while in terms of like, I guess you could also wrangle them and systematically turn them into meat. So yeah, that's also an option you can do here, but that's not going to be our main food source. Anyway, now that these are all showing up, I guess that's just something that I wanted to mention. But the rest of this is pretty much ready to be sealed off and turned into our home area. So for this chlorine vent, by the way, if you do find this, I don't really have a purpose for it, so you could just go ahead and close it off like that if you want to. Unfortunately, a lot of the things are like kind of suboptimal to interact with, and there is a little bit better of a way to deal with a lot of this stuff that just makes it easier. So that's mostly the things I'm going to focus on. I will talk about all these little separate for funsy type of things in later videos, but if you're having trouble even just completing the game, I would probably not spend extra cycles worrying about stuff that you don't actually need to, so yeah. Now to actually close this off, notice at the very bottom here I have a couple layers of ladders. All the material from the base has either been swept out or has fallen down to the bottom here, and that's exactly what I want. So the last step to seal all this off is really just to kind of go around the perimeter here and add some insulated tile. I'm adding a little bit extra here. Whoops, I misplaced this ladder. I'm adding a little bit extra here to serve as our ventilation points. Just like we did on the water asteroid earlier, it's going to look something like this, where we just can get all the gases that are going to float down to the bottom, which will usually be like your carbon dioxide, your chlorine, your natural gas, all that stuff. We can get it out of here and make all this as breathable as possible. And yes, it will be very cold in here for a little while, but because we don't really have to grow any food or anything like that, the only thing you're going to get from it is just duplicants that are uncomfortable, which we can live with. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We just need to shut all this stuff off and call that good. In the meantime, let's head back and let's start getting shipments sent for some water. First of all, is one thing that we're going to need on this planet because we don't really have an oxygen source. We do have plenty of water that we can start sending ourselves, so some of this can be sent over to the other asteroid just to be used for oxygen. It's probably the easiest way to do it. The other thing that we could do, actually, let's do something a little bit different. I guess you could send yourself water, but now it's striking me that you might not have a lot of water available. But one thing that you probably should have available is going to be on your metal asteroid. You should have a lot of Oxylite. There's going to be a whole bunch of it built up here. And what we could do is we could make use of this crashed satellite to generate the radiation that we need to start running a launcher here. So let's set that up. That'll be kind of interesting to do. And I will kind of talk about that in a little bit, only because there's not a lot of duplicants here, so I want to send a couple of duplicants to help out. So let's just send our shipping rocket back to that other asteroid and start building that setup so we can ship Oxylite over to the gas asteroid. And that'll be like the source of oxygen for that planet. We still do need a food source, though, so I'm still going to produce the second interplanetary launcher here to send some Drecko eggs. But other than that, that's pretty much all we're gonna be doing in the meantime. So yeah, I'll send my shipping rocket over. We'll start getting that Oxylite setup going. In the meantime, I'm just gonna be setting up kind of the typical stuff that's here. Great hall, bathrooms, that kind of stuff. We can start a bathroom loop with the small amount of water that we still have sitting around here. It's going to be water positive anyway, so we should be fine running that for a little while. So yeah, those are just a couple things that we're going to be doing here. As soon as that shipping rocket gets over to this asteroid, we're going to start setting up the place to generate Radbolts here. and the interplanetary launcher that's going to start sending Oxylite to the other asteroids. So we'll do that in just a bit. Alright, we have more duplicants here. I did want to talk about one thing, which is there is a way to send automation signals across space, but the problem with these is they just don't have the range that we would need. So if I were to put one here and then put one on the other planet, which is basically, you can see where I deconstructed it, but it's basically one that says, hey, I need more Oxylite, send me more. It will not be able to reach it because it's too far away, which, like, this is the closest planet that you can get from one another, but the range is only 5 tiles, which I just really don't understand the point of that. It'd be really nice if they didn't have a range. I don't get what the point of having a range is, but yeah, that's kind of what's happening with that. So we're going to have to do this in a not super optimal way. We're just going to have to remember to check on this and turn it back on and off at some point. I'll let the other side finish so we can see that, but yeah, that's annoying. Alright, anyway, let's get this started. This is going to be very similar to what we have on this planet, which is just a launcher sitting in some... Why do I not have power here? Huh. Just a launcher sitting in a bunch of liquid, which we're going to do it this way because we want to make sure the Oxylite doesn't gas off. So we want to kind of run it through the walls here and get it all the way to the launcher without ever being exposed to space, because if you just let the Oxylite sit there, then it's just going to be gassing off for no reason. So yeah, let's get this set up. We're probably going to have to destroy some stuff up above here too, because the launcher needs visual of where it's actually going to be shooting. So let me get rid of these ladders really quickly since they'll be in the way. But this whole area is probably going to need to be taken down. Maybe I can keep 1 tile. I think these are 5 wide. Let me check. Let's get our launcher here. Yeah, so we can still keep 1 tile. So I'll just destroy these. I'll need to destroy that. And then up here, we'll need to get rid of this as well. We'll put a... Let's see if we can fit it anywhere. We'll put another robo miner here somewhere so that we don't have issues of it getting covered in Oxylite. Even if it does, though, this is going to send it so fast that I'm not that worried. So, yeah. The Oxylite that we can send, we already have this weight plate that's going to be collecting some of it here instead of sending it over to this area. Since there is a huge excess here, and I'm a little bit nervous about sending too much, we could just disconnect one of the rails so that we only send it to this weight plate on one of them. So let's deconstruct this. And there. It will only get sent from this right side. The left side will just continue going straight to this setup. So we're basically splitting how much we get here. Sending half here and sending half to the other planet. So there. Let's set up our shipping to get it there. Just gonna put a very simple conveyor loader here. This conveyor loader is everything except for Oxylite, so if I get anything else, it'll pull it out. And then our shipping is... We're getting some really bad frame rates here. I think there's just so much going on so many different planets, it's hard to keep it up. Alright, so that's going to basically send it all the way here. Let's get our water stuff set up so that we can at least fill this up with water for the time being. So we just need a hydro sensor to make sure that we're not putting too much water in there. And a vent. For cooling, we're going to use something we haven't really used before, but I don't want to just steal water from this line that's just for cooling. I'd rather steal the water from a line that we know we're fine to use from, instead of like draining this tank to create water for it. So just going to run a line up here really quickly that is just to be the water that's going to fill this up. There we go. Then we will need the actual things that are going to generate the radiation. So the crushed satellite itself, or crash satellite. Wait, it is crushed satellite. What? Okay, I thought it was always crash satellite. Okay, my brain like auto-corrected it and I didn't even realize. Okay, anyway. So we have a crushed satellite here apparently. I swear the universe just got patched because it did not always say that. Or the game, or the universe, you know, what are the other. So this is going to generate a lot of radiation. And the point with this is we will effectively just put our radiation Radbolt generators right next to it. The amount of radiation is really similar to the amount that you get from the Wheezeworts. So in terms of like ranking the two of them, I will have a specific video about that at some point. Just like what's the best way to generate Radbolts. But just to give you a little bit of a preview here, the generators with the Wheezeworts I like a little bit more only because they cool themselves. The generators that use the crashed satellite don't cool themselves, so that's the only real difference. Especially if you have the extra fuel for these things, this is really not a big deal to run it off the Wheezeworts instead. The crushed satellites are nice if you just have it conveniently able to be used. Getting these messages of them being trapped, which I think really just means that they are bored and they don't have anything to do. So, they exaggerate a lot, I'll tell you what. Let's just get the rest of our floors and stuff built out here. I'll keep them busy for a little bit. There we go. Play the xylophone a bit. So, the peak place that I think we can put these is right in the middle. So if you look at how much is generated per cycle, I think this is only higher because it's still getting some more of the passive, but yeah, I think 2 of these should be more than enough. You'll really want to just make sure you're not overusing all your power, but this should be fine. And then I'm going to try to keep my duplicants a little safe here. I don't want them spending a lot of time down here because obviously being exposed to radiation is going to be a problem. By the way, here's the out-of-range message that we got here, so we can't really use these, which is really great. I love that. Love not being able to use something for no particular reason, when there is basically no alternative. Also, I'm just preempting the comment of, hey, why don't you use some mods for something like that? I try not to use mods if I ever can, only just to keep it as universal as possible. Truth be told, I'm also really not that much of a mods user in general. I will just kind of accept it the way that it is, which is probably not the greatest, but whatever. So yeah. So the power that we're going to need here, let's run our heavy watt wire down and just kind of connect it in here like that. And then run it over to our launcher, and that should be that. Let's get this automation wire all hooked up. That automation wire is just going to be to make sure we don't send too much water there. Then the cooling for this. I'm going to use these conduction panels, which I haven't really talked about before. At least not in a walkthrough. I'm just going to set up a couple of conduction panels like this, so that the flow of the water is going to have to go through these panels in order to keep these things cool. Normally you would need to submerge these in gas or liquid or something like that and keep those cool, but the conduction panel is useful if there is nothing to actually transmit the energy between the two of them. So if we just use those, we should be good. I'm going to also borrow, by borrow I mean straight up steal, some water from this line. Let's see, this is going up this way, so if we just disconnect it here, we can go down and back through. Okay, so if I steal the water from this cooling line, that'll mean that this line is cooling 2 different things, but this should be more than enough to cool both of them. I'm not too worried about it. And then once we get into the actual tile, we can switch over to radiant pipe to make sure it keeps all this stuff cool. Then we can switch back to just regular, and then just kind of close the loop off like that, and just have it rejoin to where it's supposed to go. There. Okay. So, let me get all this stuff rebuilt a little bit. I'll also see if I can improve my frame rate at all. This is, like, pretty choppy. Which, I guess it does get to by this point, but it's, like, worse on some days and better on some days. I think building shipping lines has a lot to do with it, for what it's worth. So yeah, I'll just be doing that here, waiting for my duplicants to get that. On this asteroid, we're going to start needing to get some Drecko eggs sent here. So I'll set up a temporary thing here to send ourselves the Drecko eggs and the Balm Lillies. Actually, I might wait until a little bit after. I might wait until my other duplicants get there because the population here is so low. I need to send my exploration rocket again. Yeah, there's a lot to do. Okay. Well, I'll do all that stuff off screen here in just a little bit, and when this setup is ready, we'll get ourselves launching some Oxylite. Okay, duplicants have caught up. Couple more things we need to do, one of which is we need to put some drywall down here so that this salt water doesn't just leak off into space, which is probably a good thing to do. Secondly, we need to hook up the automation to make sure to turn off our Radbolt generators when this is full. So this sends a green signal when it's full, which means we'll need to invert it to make it send red when it's full down to these. So something like that. We'll just use a NOT gate to invert it. There we go. Then we need a setup to reflect our Radbolts in the right direction. So let's get these set up here really quickly. Whoops, not rocketry. We want radiation. Radbolt reflectors. Let's see. They can endlessly bounce into themselves, which I learned earlier, so there you go. Then we need a way for this to be caught. Why is this always so awkward? Oh, I could just do it this way. There. Grab the joint plate, then a reflector. There. We'll put all the directions on correctly here in just a second. If we're going to put a robo miner here, we will probably want to have it cooled with the same type of tech, this conduction panel. So let's put down the... It's not in rocketry, it's in shipping. Let's put down the robo miner. I guess it doesn't really matter what material we make it out of. I guess gold might be good. Then let's put our conduction panel down for it. So just going to come in here and go out the side. And we can just disconnect this really quickly and rewire it up. There. So our flow of water, as you can see, is just going to go through these conduction panels. It's connected that way. Up through this conduction panel and then back down, and it'll resume on the place it was going before. These conduction panels will basically just cool down, and anything that they're built over, like a building, will also be cooled down. So pretty handy way to cool stuff down in a vacuum. Let's make sure all these are pointing the right way. There we go. And we don't have our setup for this yet. I think I'm just going to full wall this, because there's not really a reason for my duplicants to go down here. Some pretty low value stuff, like there's some iron and lead and stuff, but... This is really not going to break the bank in any way, so I'm not that worried. What are you guys complaining about? There is very obviously a toilet here. What? Oh, they can't get back. That's what's going on. Okay, fine. Valid point. There. Alright. So now that we have the back wall going, let's reconnect our pipes that I disconnected because I was just pouring salt water into space. Hate it when you do that. This is fine, I guess. Let's make sure this is all pointing in the right direction. So our Radbolts are just going to go this way, and they should be good. Let me hook up our power, which should get this started, at least in terms of generating Radbolts. So here you go. Here's the amount that's being generated, 122 a cycle. If we compare this to the Wheezewort setup, it's basically exactly the same, 122. And this is even not running entirely at full power. So I guess the Wheezeworts are technically a little bit better. But this does have the upside of not requiring any sort of fuel, so it'll just kind of do its thing. Let's get this all walled off before we start sending our Oxylite. Otherwise, if we have any tiles that are exposed to space when this is being shipped up here, then that's going to cause a problem. It'll just gas off the Oxylite for no reason. So, yeah. The water here will also prevent it because the last tile that we need before we go into the actual machine is also submerged in water. So, this should all be good. Let's get this sent. Oh, we also need to hook up the power to this. I guess. There we go. That ought to do it. So, Oxylite's coming down the line here. And we just need to change the pointer to go, not there, we need it to go back to the gas planet. There. Okay. So there's our Oxylite launcher. We will start launching Oxylite here every once in a while. Whoops, wrong planet. And it'll land on here. We have a payload opener, so my duplicants will just grab it and throw it in there. I should probably put a targeting beacon here. We might as well. Let me grab that really quick. Where is this? Yeah. Just to make sure that it's not, like, landing in places that take my duplicants forever to get there. When you're down to one duplicant, you really should take all the required steps to get that duplicant to be as idle as possible. Because it's better for them to be idle than it is for them to not be able to do everything that needs to be done. So, there you go. We need to also start sending ourselves the supplies for Dreckos, which I really should have brought with me, but I forgot. So because that's going to happen, let's just send it through our launcher. So I have a second launcher here. I'm just going to set up a temporary conveyor loader that we're only going to be using for this. If we have this conveyor loader sitting out here in space like that... Oh, I don't have the right skills here. Who needs this? Sure. How about Nicola? And Travaldo. No, Travaldo's our explorer. We probably shouldn't do that. So yeah, I'm just going to be using that to temporarily load some stuff in here. I'm not going to be using it on an extended basis because we will either need a plate to cool this, a conduction panel, or we will need some other gas or something like that to keep this cool. So since we don't have that, I'm just going to assume that this is used temporarily. The reason I'm doing it out here too is if I were to run it all the way up here like this line is, I'm only wanting to send like 8 to 10 Drecko eggs or something like that. That line will be filled up entirely with Drecko eggs before it actually gets there. So if I make the line short and I just kind of babysit this, I'll make sure to not send more than is really needed. So yeah, we'll probably want to do that. So they're going to get that built, and then we're just going to load it with the supplies that we need. It's going to probably take them a little bit because there's not many people here, so I guess I might as well send our shipping rocket back. So let's get them back. Should we sweep this stuff? I guess. I guess so. Let's uncheck these for sweep. There we go. Alright, so I'll get all this stuff sent back. Once that gets built, we will at least load it and start sending off the supplies that we need to start getting our Dreckos up here. But now that we have this, I'm just going to start carving out the space that we're going to need for our Dreckos. We could also work on just the basic stuff that we need in here, like bedrooms and that kind of stuff, but I'm not that worried, so I think I will just... Well, let's see what's in the printing pod. Sure, why not? So yeah, I'll start carving out all this stuff. That'll just be for the Drecko chambers. We'll come back and we'll launch our eggs here in just a minute. There's a few more things that we need to do before we can call this good and send our duplicants home. So I'll be doing that in the background here. Alright, we've sent ourselves Oxylite. It is now showing up here, which means that we have a solution to a problem that we're going to have on pretty much every asteroid, which is being able to breathe. I like to be able to breathe. I don't know about you, but yeah. So now that we have this, let's get this all closed off. This room is basically the exact same as the other room on this planet, which is just a room for the Oxylite to sit in and gas off, and then we'll pump it out and put it into our base via these vents. The reason we do this is because these vents overpressurize at a level that will keep my duplicants' ears from popping, which is a great thing to do. I've had that happen before. It's awful. So yeah. We do not want them to do that. That's honestly one of the worst things in the game, just because it causes your duplicants so much stress. And there's not a whole lot you can do about it to, like, offset it. So, yeah, we don't want to do that if we can help it, so I'm just going to create the exact same type of setup. And once again, I just split the line into a few different drop points because stuff will gas off faster if there's many piles instead of just one. So, yeah, I'm just going to do that. Send our Oxylite through here. Just going to ship it up through the lines, and it will eventually land in this room, and then it'll start pumping it out, which means we can get rid of this pump because we don't need it anymore, as we're just going to... What's happening? Nisbet, you're almost home. You'll be fine. Let's see if there's a suit inside here. Someone forgot to send you home on time. It wasn't me. Here. Hurry up. Just gonna see if we were gonna watch Nisbet's death. Okay, I think we should be fine. This is probably about a cycle's worth. There's also another suit that has more, so I'll just need to keep an eye on that, but she should be there soon. Anyway, so we got our oxygen set up good. I'm just gonna keep going on the Dreckos, which I'm just setting up right over here. That is just barely high enough. Cool. Just going to set up some shielding for the Dreckos and my duplicants that are going to be in there doing some work in there. So definitely don't want them to be turning into mutants or whatever might happen if they're exposed to radiation. They might get superpowers, but that doesn't mean they're going to be good ones. The other thing we need to do is send ourselves some Drecko eggs, and we need to send ourselves some Balm Lily seeds. So let's do that now that this is all set up. Whoa. So, we just need to check our critter eggs that are going to be sent here. And I just need to keep an eye on this. We also need to allow for manual use, and I'll just set it to a higher priority. And as soon as someone brings it here, I'll just make sure we don't send too many. We probably want to send, like, I don't know, 10, something like that. So if it's anywhere in that neighborhood, then that should be fine. We also may not have enough material to trigger a launch. So if we need to, we might send, like, some hydrogen or something that we don't really care about. Funny that we're at this stage where it's like, oh, some garbage material like hydrogen. Because we have so much of it. Alright, how many are in here? That is a lot. Okay, fortunately it's going to have it come out just one at a time. So I could do part of it, and then I could say, just kidding, and get it to stop doing that. So if I have something else marked for sweep, I can just re-sweep this and put it back in my shipping network. So there we go. There. How many are in here now? Cancel the sweep on this petroleum because I don't have it going anywhere. There are, I don't know, 8. That's good enough. Let's target our gas planet. And because it won't launch until it actually has enough material, we can either lower this, which we might do, or I could just pack it with some other junk. So, let's get the seeds here for the Balm Lilies too, because we need those. Again, what is with this sorting? Look at this. M-O-P-S-S-T. Okay, this is all alphabetical, but then all of a sudden A, B, B. Come on, just like sorted alphabetically. What's so hard about that? Let's get some Balm Lily seeds loaded in here, and then we will send it all off as I go on my rant about sorting. You can tell I'm a nerd based upon that kind of complaint. They should be able to get this here in just a second. I guess I do need to keep an eye on this and not necessarily send all of it, because I still will want some of these seeds to be saved for my other missions. Thanks. He's just like, oh, sorry, I'm on break. Not my problem anymore. Alright, there's 178. I definitely don't want to send that many. I probably only want to send, like, I don't know, 40 if I can get away with it. Okay. Looks like they're going 20 at a time, so I've already sent way too much. Uncheck. There we go. Now get this stuff out of here. Alright, now what's inside? 81 seeds and this many Drecko eggs. Okay, cool. So what we can do is we can figure out how much is actually in here. Oh, there's more Drecko eggs than I thought. That's probably fine. Let's set the minimum launch mass to, like, I don't know, 30. It should launch all of it. There we go. Oh, there's still some Balm Lily seeds. Okay, there's still 28 left. Relaunch. Relaunch. Hello. Oh, I might need more Radbolts. Okay, fine. It'll relaunch in a bit, but there's nothing else that's going to be going in here, so that should arrive pretty soon. We'll get the rest of the Drecko area all set up, and I also am going to be setting up some batteries down here, so we only really have one. We're going to need a lot more once we start running all of our other equipment, so just going to build our typical battery setup down here. Guess we don't need to use steel for this. That's probably fine. Okay, so I'll just be busy setting the rest of this stuff up. Okay, made some progress here, as we could tell. Just getting these Drecko chambers ready. One thing that I realized that we are going to need is water. So we need to start sending ourselves some. So I've been keeping Catalina busy as far as getting some pipes hooked up to start sending water over here. She should get on that in just a little bit. But we need water so that we can create some liquid locks on this area. Otherwise, ranching Dreckos is going to be kind of awkward, considering it needs to be flooded with chlorine. At least with the way that we're going to be doing it. The Dreckos have started to hatch, so we are on a little bit of a clock, but I don't think we're going to have a hard time getting this all done up before then. I did wall off these bottom areas because when you start building stuff down here, and I'm just building stuff down here because it's like convenient to, it may start boiling some of this liquid chlorine and turning it into gas. And I didn't want it to get too pressurized because you can see this is a lot of chlorine. And I'm okay with it going in here a little bit, so it'll already pre-fill this, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Then all we really need to do is heat this up and get our liquid locks in, then we can start the actual Drecko chambers. Of course, since we're doing Dreckos, we're going to need this sorting area, or like replenishing area, which I've talked about a few times by now, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about this. There's a specific video that's just about ranching Dreckos in this walkthrough, so you can check that out if you want to know how the system is working. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that we do need water before we can get this started. So I just hooked up some tanks to my payload opener. So we'll start slowly getting water trickling in, and as we get there, we'll set up something to start heating this area up and getting it ready for our Dreckos. And then that'll be pretty much it. I mean, all we really need to do is make sure that this duplicant can live here, which means renewable oxygen and renewable food. So we're pretty close to both of those, so just need to wait for that water. Okay. Our Drecko chamber is all closed up. I'm starting to heat it up with these space heaters again, which is not my favorite solution, but ideally this would be done with water, but you need a lot more water and like a liquid tepidizer and stuff like that. I just didn't want to wait that long, so I just made these tighter liquid locks and started putting out a little bit more chlorine in here via some bleach stone. Just so I can keep my duplicants focused on some other stuff to get us out of here a little bit quicker. So yeah, we're ready to start shipping out all the stuff that we won't really need anymore. So you can start just defining that here. And that will just run up to a drop-off point right next to the rocket, which is going to contain all the stuff that we need to take back with us. And also, just going to start filling up the rocket with carbon dioxide so that we have enough fuel to actually get somewhere. And I think with this one, this is not going to be one that we necessarily need to crash land, because I think we can get it all the way back. Let me double check, because I think we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here. We can refuel here and pick up some more metal, and then fly it down here and just land it on the shipping platform and just deconstruct it there if we wanted to. Or you could crash land, whatever you want to do. So that's going to be our return path. Once we get this room all up to a temperature that's going to be much better for this, which we just need a higher density of chlorine here, which this bleach stone is really not gassing off very quickly at all. Let me just destroy this really quickly. Yeah, just trying to spread it out here, but as soon as we get a higher density of chlorine, I'd like to get up to like 3 or 4 kilograms. If this is taking too long and my duplicants start to idle, I'm just going to go down into this bottom area where all of it's gassing off and just pump it in from there, even though it's going to be a lot colder than the bleach stone. Actually, they're probably a similar... No, this is a lot colder, never mind. Yeah, so if we just pump it in from there and we just increase the density that way, that'll be a good way to do it, but the only real clock that we're on is before these Dreckos start to starve, and they have quite a bit of time left, so we should be fine. So yeah, that's just the last thing that needs to get done. If all of the supplies are ready and my duplicants are ready to go, I can just leave the one duplicant behind a little bit early, and they can take care of all the stuff that needs to happen inside here when we're ready. Also, same setup as we've used several times for drowning into the excess eggs, which is really going to be the food source on this planet. It's going to be like all barbecue, and the wrangling room that only has this critter drop-off available when these 2 rooms actually need more critters. So yeah, functioning very similarly to what we just set up on the slime planet. Something like this. So yeah, just wanted to share the way that we were getting all this stuff up, because this can be kind of a weird asteroid. Looks like our density is growing decently, so I might just leave this as is. Some of these are starting to wake up too, so I can start bringing in some Dreckos. But yeah, so fueling up the rocket. I don't know why this is not flowing right now. I swear I just saw it. Oh yeah, it is. Okay. Fueling up the rocket. I'll start getting stuff ready to go. And yeah, almost done with this one. We'll end it as soon as we send these duplicants back that don't necessarily need to live here any longer. All the other rooms are ready to go here as well. So we have a bathroom, we have a great hall, we have a place to sleep. So all the basic needs are met here for the one duplicant that's going to stay. And our shipment of stuff is still on the way. So we're still sending water, still sending Oxylite. We have a decent buildup of Oxylite here. Actually, not as much as I thought it would be, but yeah, still an okay amount. But yeah, almost done. Gonna send them home soon. Okay, friends. Let's call this asteroid good. We just need to do a couple things before we leave. I'm going to get rid of a couple of these heaters, and we should hook up these other ones to some thermosensors just to make sure that we're only keeping them on if we need to. And the only thing that's going to be a source of making this cold is this pool of water and any of this stuff over here. So I did try to limit as much as possible with these insulated tiles, but still, I don't want it to fall too far. I also don't want it to get unnecessarily hot, so just going to set up a couple of automation wires to turn these things on and off depending on what the temperature is here. And I'll keep this probably around, like, I don't know, 40 or something like that. As long as the Balm Lilies can grow, then we'll be fine. So I'm just going to start getting these Dreckos in here really quickly, and all I should need to do to get them in here is just wrangle. I do have a couple Sweetles here too that I need to probably not grab. So I'll just tie them up and then I'll sit on the ground, and that doesn't do anything for me, so... Yeah, the size of these rooms is both as big as the stables can get, so each one of them can hold 8 critters, which is probably a lot for the duplicate that's going to be here, but oh well. It's not like they're going to really be doing anything else while they're here, so yeah, whatever. As for the oxygen situation, that's still coming in very slowly. What I will probably want to do is, we don't need water anymore, so I'm going to stop sending water through the launcher, and we're just going to be sending this Oxylite. We are dependent on waiting for Oxylite showers to happen, though, and they are fairly irregular, so rather than just relying on that keeping my duplicant alive, I am going to leave some algae on that asteroid, because we can always go mine more algae if we need to. And we'll be doing that a lot in the next video, so... Yeah, just going to need to get the rest of this all done up here really quickly. The only other thing that we need to do is get everything else loaded into our rocket that we're going to be taking. So I just need to go in here and mark this for sweep. There's not much left to do. Just need to get this last little bit of stuff out here. Any extra water that I got, I just set up a little station that I don't know if I've actually talked about. I've done this a bunch of times, but this is a really simple way just to get something into your water system if it's been collected in bottles. So just have it empty in here, build a pump it into your system, call it good. We have plenty of extra water here in case it's needed, and this could also serve as an emergency oxygen source if we needed to. So this ought to do it for the duplicant that we're leaving behind. I think I'm going to leave Pepe behind. We will scrub Pepe at some point, but she's going to need the critter ranching skill in order to survive here. And then everybody else, we can get out of here. So we'll just assign them as crew. Let's get Ada out of here, Beta, and Otto. And we'll send them back home. So yeah, just a real quick summary wrap-up of this. The things that we definitely need to do is make sure we have power, make sure we have renewable oxygen, which is starting to dwindle, but once there's less duplicants here, we should be fine. Both of those things of Oxylite just disappeared, so we're actually waiting on that to happen again. If it starts to become a problem, I can rebuild my oxygen source, but just to make sure that it's not going to be too scary, actually, what I should do is just put this down here and then hook this up to automation as well. So we could just put this on an atmo sensor and just say, only turn on if the atmosphere is not saturated enough, and we'll get that set up too. So yeah, that's that. The temperature settings here, yeah, like I said, I'm probably just going to say if it's ever below like 40, then they'll turn on. And it's not like we're having a hard time with power here either. Like, we're not running any aqua tuners or anything wild like that, or like metal refineries or something. So still plenty to go around. Looks like we're almost swept up and almost ready to go. I do need to make sure to put at least some algae inside here though. So let me check to see if they actually swept some already. Algae. Yeah, we already have a lot. Assuming this is accurate. Nope, it's not. Okay, so let's just create the bin to have them bring some of the algae in here, and then we'll do our quick checklist, and then we'll get out of here. So these duplicants, I think we can make it all the way to the next nearest asteroid. I'm just going to have them bounce off of the metal asteroid, because they can make it here. There you go. Hey, there's a gassy meteor shower coming. That's the other thing with this too, and why I'm not worried about food on this planet, is because these gassy moos eventually will die off and turn into meat. And like I said, I'm not going to really bother with them on this run. I'm just going to leave the duplicant here to hang out, because all we really need them to do is just to stay alive. So no reason to overdo it if we don't have to. And also, I was thinking about this too. We actually don't necessarily need to have duplicants living here. Like, all you need to do to check the box is to establish a colony there. So you could leave these dormant for long periods of time, but I feel like it's more appropriate to have a duplicant occupying it. So yeah, in case you couldn't tell, I'm definitely trying to buy time until we can leave. So if this is ever below 1,000 grams, I'm going to turn on the oxygen diffuser, and there's still a good amount of algae here, at least for one duplicant that'll last for a long time. So the rest of this, we should be good, and I think we're good to go. So, oh, do we have our water hooked up? That's one thing I need to check. Is there water in here? Why is there no flow? Oh, because they can't build that last tile. That makes sense. This is one of the most annoying things about building the rocket interiors, is these tiles can block off your jobs. I just want to launch a rocket! Come on! Alright, I think we're good. Oh, the other thing that I forgot to mention is make sure to get your artifact analysis station up, because we're still going to be chipping away at these cosmic archaeology tasks. So once we get that done, we should be good to go. Alright, now we have water flow, so we can finally get out of here. I'll just have them build it while they're flying, but yeah, let's do our typical change our destination and our liftoff, just to call this video good, because this asteroid has been settled, and it's going to go down to its, like, dormancy crew here. Just waiting for Otto to get out there. And there we go. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. We're getting close to being done, by the way. We've only got a few more things to do. We'll be doing those in the next few videos, but I think that we only have really one more asteroid to settle, which is going to be this regolith one. We have some other business to attend to before that, so we won't be doing that immediately after. But yeah, I'll be back with the next video. Should be tomorrow. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here really soon.